Hey, how would you describe faith? How would you define faith? You believe in something and that gives you faith, but it's more than that, right? Faith is not just belief. It is belief, but it's believing in something that you can't necessarily see. It's believing in something that maybe you can't prove at the moment, but you believe in it with all your heart, and you allow that belief to move you into action. Now, Hebrews is all about faith. It's all about what faith looks like, and especially chapter 11. Chapter 11 is kind of like a faith hall of fame. It goes through all these great people of faith like Noah and Jacob and Enoch and Abraham and Sarah and Moses and all of these people. And it's holding them up as examples and saying, so-and-so did this. Here's their faith story, and this is what happened. And basically, the stories are all the same. It's kind of like so-and-so, even though they were unsure of the future, even though they didn't know what the future held, they chose to follow God and do His will and do what He asked them to do, and boom, they made the Faith Hall of Fame. It's a beautiful thing. That's their faith story. They believed, even though they weren't sure, even though they didn't know how it was going to work out, and they acted on that belief. And there's their faith story. And in between all the shout-outs in Hebrews chapter 11, there's some really good, chunky, just words about here's what faith is. Here's what it looks like. In verse 1 in Hebrews 11 says this: faith is the assurance of things you've hoped for, the absolute conviction that there are realities you've never seen. It was by faith that our forebears were approved. Through faith, we understand that the universe was created by the Word of God. Everything we now see was fashioned from that which is invisible. So faith is all about believing in something that we can't see and realizing that it's more real than what we can see. It's more reality than what we can touch and see. The invisible is more real than the visible. Okay, now skip on down to verse 6, and it says this: without faith, no one can please God. So it's kind of important. Without faith, no one can please God, because the one coming to God must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who come seeking. So that's essential. It's fuel for our relationship with God. We got to believe that He's there, even though we can't see Him. We got to believe that He's good, even though sometimes life is hard. We've got to believe these things, okay? And we've got to have faith in that. And that's what fuels our relationship with God. Now, it's real important. Now, here's something in verse 16. It says this, because it's gone through and it's been talking about these great faith fathers and mothers and what they've done and how they believed and how they've changed the world. And it says this: but such saints as these look forward to a far better place, a heavenly country. So God is not ashamed to be called their God, because He has prepared a heavenly city for them. And that's a real important part of faith, I think. You got to have your feet firmly planted in the right now. But you got to have your eyes fixed on the yet to be. And all of these people, that's where they were. That's where they lived. They had their feet fixed, okay, and planted in the right now. And so they were able to change the world, okay? They weren't living somewhere else. They were living in the right now, but they had their eyes fixed on the yet to be. They had their eyes fixed on the promise. And because of that, they were able to do great things. And because of that, God was not ashamed to be their God. I love that verse. And I pray that God's not ashamed to be my God. And it's just an incredible thing. Now, faith opens the door to great adventure. If we want to live an exciting life, want to live a life full of adventure, hop on board the faith train. Okay, a lot of times we think Christianity is boring. Check this out. In verse 33, 34, it says, I could give accounts of people alive with faith who conquered kingdoms, brought justice, obtained promises, and closed the mouth of hungry lions. I could tell you how people of faith doused raging fires, escaped the edge of the sword, made the weak strong, and stoking great valor among the champions of God, sent opposing armies into panic flight. That's exciting stuff. Nothing boring there. So faith opens the door for an adventurous life. But we got to believe, okay? We got to realize, okay, there is a God. We can't see Him, but we're going to believe in Him. And because of that belief, it's going to move us to action. Because of that belief, we're going to do great things. Because of that belief, we're going to step out and we're going to write our own faith story. Okay? And the wild thing about this is these guys in the Hall of Faith didn't receive the full promise because the promise wasn't fully unleashed. Jesus hasn't come on the scene yet. but we have. So we can walk in the fullness of the promise, and we can write our own faith story today. Go out and do great things. God bless you guys. Giddy up.